To order, please stand for the national anthem. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It's been a while since I've done it, so I wanted to sing the national anthem. Okay, let's go ahead and call the roll. Do the roll. Start voting.
Okay, and Mayor Coleman, I'll take your vote by voice. So Mayor Coleman.
Present.
Okay, all counselors present and a quorum has been declared.
Okay. Let's move on to agenda approval.
Mayor
Heather?
Pro Tem, we do have an amendment to the agenda. There was a family emergency for the individual doing the presentation for the South Central Colorado seniors. So we will be just moving them to a different agenda.
Okay, any other changes? Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move we approve the agenda as amended.
I second.
Okay. Any further questions? Go ahead and vote.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
All right. Let's move on to citizen comment. Alamosa City Council welcomes your comments. Citizens wishing to speak may obtain and complete a speaker card through the city clerk at the start of the meeting. Do we have any cards?
I have not received any cards, Mayor Pro Tem.
Anybody on Zoom?
So if you're on the Zoom app and you want to speak for citizen comments, you can use the raise your hand feature right now, and then I can let you speak. And Mayor Pro Tem, I don't see anybody raising their hand.
Okay, then we'll move on to ceremonial items. Introduction of Leanne Lounsbury, Finance Director. Is that you, Heather?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And Leanne, if you want to come on up to the podium. Oops, I guess I forgot to mention that. I did explain it's a 20-minute speech.
Oh,
And so as Leanne comes up, we're really excited to have Leanne join our team. Anytime we have a department head leaving, that's obviously a critical position for the city, but finance is pretty much in the center of every department. So it's a really important role. But Leanne brings with her 27 years of experience.
Mhm.
She has experience both in the private sector with some commercial and real estate partnership, recreational enterprises, but also public accounting, nonprofit sector, and higher education. Her most recent job was a remote position as a chief financial officer for about 2 years. Prior to that, though, she was the controller at Adams State University for about 4 years, but also then previously corporate accounting. And I don't know, I forgot to ask you this in advance. I don't know if you're considered a Valley native or if you just lived here for a very long time.
I was born and raised here,
So,
so.
A Valley native. She did get her degree from Adams State University and she is a certified public accountant. So this is Leanne, and Leanne, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything.
I'm happy to be here. I would have said the things that you've already said. I think just real short and sweet about my background. Nice to meet you all.
We've been very fortunate to have Lisa still in the community and still loves the city. So she's been spending some time with Leanne, and I know Leanne's been trying to soak up as much as she can while Lisa's available. So it's helping from a transition perspective.
Definitely.
okay, Councilor Daniels.
Thank you, Mayor. Leanne, I just want to say welcome. We are so glad to have you on the team in such a critical position, and I'm really glad that the transition sounds like it's been pretty smooth. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Leanne, welcome to the family. Look forward
Thank
to
you.
working with you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Welcome
you.
aboard, Leanne. Wish you the best.
Oh, sorry, Mayor.
Okay.
Not too painful.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to consent calendar A. There's several items on that.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent calendar A.
Okay, is there a second? Second that. Second. Any further questions? Not, start voting.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
Okay. Moving on, we'll go into regular business and boards and commissions business, library board annual report.
How's everybody doing?
Good evening.
And I had a slide presentation. All righty. Just to let you know if I need to advance it. All righty. Go ahead and we'll go to the first one there. First off, our current library board members there. I'd like to thank the whole team there. We two Jamies, Melissa, myself, Scott, Harrell, and Mandy. And then, of course, our city staff that helps us out there. Have some amazing people up there, our city councilor representative there. Thank you very much. Next slide. Okay, so we started off the year with some hellos and goodbyes. As the last time I spoke to you, we were saying goodbye to Saleha. And she retired and is doing quite well over at the farm park out here. And then we had to say, I had a great experience saying hello to our new library manager, Maria, back there. And we actually welcomed two new board members, one of the Jamies and Scott to our board. Okay, next slide. So Maria wasted no time by doing pretty much a total look at all of the policies and the paperwork that we had associated with the library. We did things, we added the 3D printer policy, which is a new addition to our library, and I'll get to that maybe in a second here. We changed the bylaws of the general board. We basically just went over them. A lot of this was just reviewing the verbiage in there and changing up to make it update it and modernize it. Cell phone policy, collections department of how the library was bringing in new materials, food and drink policy, the internet usage, the reconsideration of materials, and our safe child policy as well. Next slide. Okay, we also had the great privilege of having Chelsea Coleman from the Colorado Library Consortium come down and talk to us about board advocacy. We were joined by all the friends of the library board as well. And we basically discussed how, as board members, we can be better advocates, better promoters of the library out in the general public. And we also workshopped our elevator speech. So with that in mind there, have you heard about our new 3D printer at the library? It's a great, amazing tool that the library has that just for a little bit of materials cost and a little bit of use and a small usage fee, you can pretty much 3D print anything that you can sort of imagine there. And so I highly recommend that. That's just one of the many great things that our library has to offer. So definitely, if you're interested in having some printed, like you can do car parts and all sorts of other great things there. Just talk to a representative of the library or look on the website there and they have all the information that you need in order to create a 3D printed item. Okay, last slide. Okay, and then finally, one of the big things we've been doing in the last couple months is working on a survey to assess the needs of the general public and how it relates to the library. Not only the people that are currently using the library, but the people that have never used the library. And so we've gotten together and developed a short survey that you can answer. If you're a user, we have a specific survey for users of people that are very up to date with and use the library frequently. And then we have those who've never used the library before. So that's sort of our survey. And we ask questions like, you know, how do you think the materials work? How often do you use these? And so all sorts of different information on how the library can better serve the population here in Alamosa. And so the last slide, I can entertain any questions. And I'd also like to hand out a survey for each of our city council members there to be our first survey participants there. So we have both, and I won't make any assumptions, so I'll give you both a user and a non-user survey. Did anyone have any questions for me?
Okay, Councilor Liz.
Well, I'm just gonna say, I think it's been phenomenal what's going on, and obviously,
it's always hard when somebody who's been around and as an advocate and has such a passion for the library leaves, and you always think, oh, are those shoes going to be filled? And it's just really exciting what's happening now. I have 2 grandkids, and I know they have been super excited. I think the marketing is going really well. They just were at one of the nights. I'm trying to think. I know the next one's a slime night, but I forget what the last one was. But they just had so much fun at that. And so just that idea of getting that word out is just really great, and sort of like I say, it's just a good fresh energy. So thanks.
Yeah, I definitely thank Maria on that. She's really come in and really sort of changed, I mean, really given us some new energy to work with. So it's been really nice to have her on board.
Good. Mayor, did you have a question? Any question?
No, I didn't have a question, but thank you for the presentation and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And I was here when the old library, and that was one of the main reasons why they built this building, because of the library. What they've done at this library, it's incredible, and a lot of people use it. So that was one of the big pushes to even build this whole complex here, was that library. So
And with COVID, for the most part behind us there, we're definitely starting to see an uptick in that, and that's been really nice to see. And there's just so much more we can do with it. So, think about a bookmobile.
great presentation. Thank you so much.
Already.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Mayor, I have one here for you. You get that. Collate them.
Good job.
Yeah, so I don't know if we could hand it just straight to Maria or.
If you guys turn it into Holly, she'll get it to Maria.
There we go.
Stick it together.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Great presentation. Okay, moving on to Community Recreation Board Annual Update. And we got the esteemed John here.
Evening, councilors, mayor. How is everybody tonight?
Good.
Andy asked me to come in and give a little short synopsis of our year with the rec board. So he said, keep it under 10 minutes or Heather will remove you. So I'll be real quick. Shouldn't take long. We've seen an amazing growth in all programs out at with the Recreation Advisory Board. I mean, it's been a wonderful program out there. We've learned to have an open mind with new recreation options. The disc golf is one of our shining examples of that. When it was first brought to us, everybody was totally negative. It was the most ridiculous idea we could ever have. The community got behind that project. We went with it. And my God, it's a wonderful project out there. I think everybody needs to be, the city especially needs to be really proud of that. So that's one of our good examples that we can be proud of. Another one I think is the hockey arena. What a wonderful facility that is. We have a neighbor that moved into the valley 2 years ago. And the reason he moved to the valley is because of the hockey. He was going to go, he's a Walmart rep. He's either going to go to Durango or here. That's what made the difference. So those things add up. I think that's pretty important. It's a wonderful facility, well used. I think we're going to get our money's use out of that. It's going to be, I mean, the summer use out of it is amazing. Great facility. The one thing I'll say about the advisory board, it is a very diverse group. And we welcome new ideas that keep up with the growing population of Alamosa, which is surprisingly really fast. I think it's a little faster than we are even prepared for it a lot of times, but it's a good group, keeps an open mind, really doing a good job. The Trails Master Plan shows a response to community input that they want more access to the river corridor and the river itself. Developing corridor trails and a future walk bridge near the river became possible through grant opportunities. You have a wonderful grant writer back there and his partner, John. I don't know what we're gonna end up with here in the city with those two writing grants. It's an amazing thing. So proud of that. The city should also be proud of your parks, your dog parks. We don't talk much about them. They've been well used, set throughout the city. I think everybody loves them. And your ball fields. You have an excellent crew that maintains them, which can be difficult given the amount of events that the city has every year. I think we're on a weekly basis in the summertime. Absolutely, Cole Park gets overused. So should be very proud of your city crew to keep them up the way they do. Those guys do a wonderful job. We're seeing some of the highest program attendance in history. Rec staff has implemented new programs such as a traveling youth track team and of course the Special Olympic program. Staff has also collaborated with community health organizations and other youth sports providers from across the valley. We're also seeing a growing partnership with Alamosa School District, which will likely lead to more recreational opportunities. Maximizing facility use will, I think, help everybody involved. Maximum utilization of facilities. I think that's a wonderful way to look at what we have here in Alamosa. One example of spending monies to improve a program would be the golf course. The city spent huge amounts of money out there to keep it open, to improve it, and I think we're starting to see the return on that investment. Memberships and green fees are amazing. And I think people are ready for it to open right now. They're ready to go. It's a wonderful facility, great personnel out there, and that equipment is wonderful. When I hear of all other golfers coming in to use that, they go, my God, how do they keep this so nice? A lot of it is that equipment that you purchased. It's great stuff. So if you talk to anybody that has golfed there from anywhere, either in the valley or out of the valley that's played in that course, they brag about it immensely. So be proud of that as well. I think lastly, please be assured that your Recreation Advisory Board will continue to investigate new opportunities for recreation. We want to make sure that we can maintain and improve the ones that we already have as well. With the grant gurus, Andy and John, I think we're going to be able to keep our funding mechanisms in place to go ahead and keep those opportunities open. So we're tickled with that. I think that's pretty much it for the recreation part of it. I'll just say one last thing about weed management, since that's under us as well. I have seen a great improvement in that as well. I think we see a lot. The mapping is going very well. John's really taken hold of that. You have a huge issue in the city. Everybody in the valley has one, but we have a huge one. We're taking care of it. I think we're really making big headway. So I want you to know that. I think we're doing real well with that as well. Yeah. Oh,
Good job.
40.
Good job, John. You still got another 10 minutes.
Okay, let's talk about money.
Any questions or comments from council? Good.
I'll just say, obviously, all the areas you said, kudos. I think it's great. I'm very proud to live here. I know I brought up my grandkids before, but I'm at the rec center all the time now because of all the activities they do. This morning at 8 a.m., I made sure I was there to sign one of them up for gymnastics because gymnastics always fills up. So I made sure to get on there at 8:01 to sign her up. But I think that shows that idea of just how well used it is. And the other thing that is great is how we keep those prices down.
Absolutely.
And so going ice skating per day and that how inexpensive it is and all of the things that you can do there. So it is something that's truly affordable for anybody. And I commend you, golf course, all the things that you're doing.
I'll tell you, I will commend you on that up the track up above there. It's an amazing. If anybody hasn't seen it, they need to go use it. It's wonderful. I didn't know what they were going to come up with, but that's a fabulous upstairs track. So good job on that as well.
Anybody else? Mayor, did you want to say anything? Just thumbs up. Okay. I was
He's a
one
big
of the
help too.
I was one of the skeptical ones when that disc golf come out.
Oh yeah.
I said, what's going to happen out there?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, it is incredible.
It
I've
is.
been out there a couple times with the mayor, and they've even added holes out there.
Oh, yeah.
So it's incredible.
Tournaments, everything. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And you're right about the staff that we have there, the group that, people don't really understand the amounts of money that has been brought in where we've only had to match a little bit, and we've been able to do a lot of stuff. with trails, with just equipment and stuff. If, you know, that's the amount of money that's coming in, it's incredible. So
I'll
they
bring
do-
on you also about your stage. That is one of the things that we lose a lot of our weed control because our guys are helping setting up the stages. But I mean, you do a lot of good. You had it at other events in Monte Vista and this and that. That does a lot of good. You know, you've built a good rapport with other towns. I think that's wonderful. And they're busy enough with all the stuff you have going. So good job with those two.
Well, great job, John, and Andy and your crew and the city. Thank you so much for what you do for
They do all the
our
work.
rec and parks. So,
Thank you a lot.
thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to business brought forward by city staff. Development services, there's a need for a public hearing, a second reading ordinance number 2-23, an ordinance establishing an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation for the revitalization Main Street grant for the Hunt Avenue Culture Trail. And do we have any comments before? Oh.
Good
Yes,
evening,
you jumped
council.
up there fast.
I'm a ninja. Good evening, council. This is our second reading for the IGA ordinance to allow us to go under contract with the Colorado Department of Transportation for a $1.2 million grant to build the Hunt Avenue Cultural Trail. So there's no city match and we're already well into the engineering process, but we need a formal IGA with CDOT in order to accept the funding. So I'm here for questions.
Okay. If
You
no
may
question-
want to open the public hearing
Yeah,
first.
I will. Okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue? Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Aaron Milberger and I serve on the Main Street Advisory Committee. The committee is very excited about this proposal. It fits with the downtown plan, the city's master plan. We think it will really transform the eastern side of the city of Alamosa and help to expand over to those next couple of blocks where really city invigoration is needed pretty desperately. Also really excited about being able to hold true to really emphasizing the culture of the San Luis Valley and Alamosa in particular. So big supporter of this personally and as a representative of the Main Street Advisory Committee as well.
Thank you. Aaron. Anybody else? Anybody on Zoom, City Clerk, that would want to speak to this matter?
So if you're on the Zoom app and you want to speak on this ordinance, you'll use the raise your hand feature in the bottom of your screen. And then you can let me know. And Mayor Pro Tem, I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close this public hearing and bring it back to council for further comments or action.
If there are no comments, Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we approve ordinance number 2-2023.
Second.
Okay, the second. Any further comments? If not, start voting.
Did you notice how Rachel slyly put in how she got this grant? It's not just Midas touch back there.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
I think I
All
said
right.
we, just so you know, I said we, but development services, not Parks and Rec, just so you know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and move on then to municipal water usage update.
So we want to get to where we're doing this about once a year. This is a very good time because it does allow staff to kind of close out the previous year's numbers, take a breath, take a look at the numbers and all that. So I'm going to turn it over to Deacon. Oh, it looks like they're probably getting a presentation ready as well.
Hey, everybody. So you may remember last time that is about the summer of 2018. You know, we were in a pretty big drought, and you can go to the next slide, please. And so really that's what kind of sparked this question. So really this was just the data from 2013 to 2017. These are just kind of the big highlights, and I'm not going to go through them, but one of the most interesting things is not all of these are the same now that we have another 5 years of information to go off of. Just a really quick statistical 101, you've got correlation, and then you've got the R squared value, which is, I'm blanking, essentially negative close to 1 means you really have a strong inverse relationship. So as something goes up, the other goes down. 0 means there's no relationship at all. And then positive is as one goes up, the other goes up. So that's some of the data we use to try to, suss out some of these trends. So one of the really amazing things is that we are steadily decreasing our both overall and our per capita rates of water usage in the city. And, keep in mind that over the last 10 years, we've had about a 10% growth in population. So not only are we reducing how much water we are using in general, but we're also reducing how much each person is using as well. Next slide, please. So just kind of taking a little bit of a look, last time there was more of a relationship between residential uses and the and how much they were paying for it. This time around, there's a lot less. There's a moderate correlation, but really the rates don't strongly predict how much people are going to use.
And Deacon, it's kind of hard to read, so you may want to describe what the colors are.
Sure.
Type of thing.
I'm having a hard time seeing them too.
Okay, sorry.
Blind as a bat. Oh, that's great. Thank you. So the kind of wavy line, that's how much people are using per day based on all of our population. And then the 3 other lines are just the different rate tiers. You'll remember that I think it was in 2017, we introduced a tiered rate structure where really, the more you use, the more you pay for certain portions of that water usage. And so really, the green or kind of teal line is, I think, one of the most interesting is that that really most expensive amount of water that folks are paying for, it only predicts the usage about 5%. So it really doesn't have a big impact on how much people are using, but yet we're still seeing these decreases in uses. So the base rate seems to have a moderate sort of relationship, but that kind of tiered structure doesn't seem to impact it as much. And then the other question is always, okay, what about precipitation? So last time there really wasn't much of a relationship. Now that we've got a little bit more detail, a little more data, we're starting to see that there is actually a little bit of a moderate relationship. So the straight line, the green straight line, that's our usage trend again. Nope, that's wrong actually. That's should be our blue line. Nope, excuse me, that is right. That is our per capita sort of trend line that's going down. The blue line is the actual values. That little hash mark that's what our average precipitation is. Again, there's just kind of a moderate sort of correlation, but not really a huge one. Okay, so then, we start looking at institutions, and when we kind of crunch all this information, we're looking at institutions. So that's like the school district and Adams State. It also includes all the commercial uses, and it also includes the non-potable uses, because really that goes towards both of those categories. So really there's no relationship between precipitation and how much they use. And I think we kind of know that, I know Adams State sometimes gets some flack. Oh, they're raining, they're watering when it's raining. But in general, precipitation has no real relationship with how much institutions use. The next one. However, there's a really, really strong relationship between how much they pay versus how much they use. Frankly, it's really the strongest sort of piece of information that came out of all this data crunching. So it's a near perfect correlation. The more you pay, the less they're using. So I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this latest round of information. And so really just kind of to sum up, annual rate increases, they're really a powerful motivator for non-residential uses, a little bit less so for residential. For precipitation, has somewhat of an effect for residents, but not at all for the commercial and industrial use, or commercial and institutional uses. really, I think we see a lot of conservation efforts. I think both naturally, we have the renewable water resources thread, and I think we're all kind of just tuned into conserving water in general, but we're also starting to kickstart some of our education and outreach as well. Water efficient structures, toilets, so on and so forth. And then we also adopted our watering restrictions. So I think all of those are probably playing a part. Yeah, I think that's about it.
So-
Do want to give a really big shout out to Megan, who put a lot of time putting a lot of data in this spreadsheet that was used to develop all this. So she definitely gets a kudos for that.
And Deacon kind of went fast over this last part, but we didn't have our Water Smarts Committee meet probably for a few years, but we do have them kind of reactivated. I want to manage expectations in that our regular attendance from non-staff is 2 people. So that might be something that grows. But then Deacon, I don't know if you want to share just a tiny bit too, how you guys went, is it the Sonora Institute?
Yeah, so in June of last summer, we were invited to participate in the Growing Water Smarts workshop hosted by the Sonoran Institute. Us here at the city, as well as Richard representing the county, we had really an intensive workshop on finding messages, what our common goals are, and finding other ways to really kind of get further along in our water conservation goals. We just received a grant, I think it was for, I can't remember, $5,000 or $10,000 to help implement some of these plans. So it's a lot of stuff that's going on in the background. Also, Beata Ramza, who's our planning technician, she's got a fantastic website, pretty much ready to launch. We're still working on the websites in general, but there's going to be a really great water conservation website with a lot of great resources. So there's some cool stuff coming.
Yeah, so there really is a lot of neat stuff coming. So I wanted to make sure we emphasize that.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great job, Deacon.
Thanks.
Counselor Biga.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Deacon, thank you for this presentation and thank you for your team for putting this together. I for one am glad that our water usage across the city is going down. We need to conserve water. A question that I think may arise out there, and we kind of see it every once in a while, is what about the city? How's our water usage and like parks and that kind of stuff?
I'll be honest, I didn't look into that information very detailed. Some of the information that's in the non-potable data also gets reflected in that kind of aggregated data. I know Andy can probably talk a lot about their conscientiousness. I know there's some irrigation upgrades that are going on. And I don't know those off the top of my head, but I do feel like there's some things going on.
So Andy has gotten a quote, if you can come up if you want, Andy. Previously, we had been carrying forward, it's called the Parks Irrigation Replacement Plan. And we had only had 50,000 in that, which it is in here for this year. Andy was able to get a quote and that gets us 2, maybe 3, depending on which parks we pick. So one of the first budget amendments is going to be alerting you that we're going to be adding 50,000 to the CIP also for 2024 and 2025 to make sure we can get to all the parks. But is there more to it?
That's a good start. So we're calling it smart irrigation, right? Where the parks can most of the systems are tied to weather stations as opposed to soil moisture, because it can be so specialized. One part of your city or city hall or park can be dry. So the weather station stuff is really where that's going. So we're gonna pilot a park or 2 this year. And Heather's right, we have $50,000 the next 3 years, hopefully to do as many parks as we can. But it has to be tied over cellular data but yeah, that will save not only tons of water, 30 to 40% on average, but also labor, right? Parks will be able to take a cell phone and turn stuff down or see what's going on if there's breaks, flow monitoring, and yeah, so that's very exciting. And then also, don't forget, we have a $500,000 grant in with the Bureau of Rec, hopefully to work on conserving water on the Back 9 irrigation project. Hope to hear soon on that.
Counselor Carson.
Can you email us the presentation? Okay. So has the water restrictions changed use a lot? Did you see a big dip with that? And also, can you get me the number of the city uses? I'd like to compare it to the acre feet of the citizens.
Yeah,
But,
sure.
did you see a huge drop?
You know, honestly, to me, the two biggest factors in my mind have always been how much people are paying and how much is it raining. And I didn't include it because it really didn't show anything, but I even had one that looked at each month's precipitation versus, you know, the metered usage, and it didn't show anything different. The honest answer, I don't know. I don't know how effective it's been. I don't know how to tie any of that information. I feel like it is, but I don't have any data to back it up.
Yeah, if I can get the presentation and those numbers.
Sure.
I'll dig a little bit. see
Sure.
if there was a difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate
Any other questions? Mayor, any questions?
Thank you all for the great presentation, Deacon. A lot of helpful information. And I think that's going to be something we look forward to hearing more about throughout the year. So thank you.
Thank you.
And Counselor Carson, I don't know if your question, because we've done two things from a regulatory perspective. One, we stepped up the fees for certain levels of water usage, which is what Deacon looked hard at. The other thing, though, is we had the every other day. So the evens water on these days, the odds on those days. But since we adopted it knowing we didn't have the ability to really be out there enforcing it, it was going to be on people's goodwill. And so I don't know if we've seen anything with that, and I don't know how much we can expect. I do know we could probably do more education about that and make sure that those who are prone to just follow it because that is the recommendation, are aware of it, and those who aren't just won't, type of thing. So as long as that's just a voluntary, it's not voluntary, but we don't have the resources to enforce it, then we're only going to get so much out of that type of thing. So I'm not sure which one of those you were asking about, type of
I
thing.
just wanted to see if there was a noticeable drop, you know what I mean? But I'll dig that out a little
Okay.
bit. If I get that presentation, I'll let you know.
Cool. Sure. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, Dick, good job, Deacon Lee. I got a couple of comments here. Don't walk away that fast. Counselor Carson kind of mentioned this. Are we going to put this on the city website so people can look at all this information and
Yeah, we definitely can.
I think it would be because there's a lot of good information on there and it tells us how we're working and saving water and stuff. Also, when we did our golf course, boy, we had the system out there was old and there was more going into the ground than on the grass. So that has helped out a lot. So the next section, I think should even conserve more water. So
Definitely.
good job. Thank you.
And Deacon mentioned this, but we really are overhauling the entire city's website. So
Okay.
we'll get it up there, but we're not adding tons of new things. So it'll probably be something we can add to the water
Okay.
page that Beata's working on. And then when that goes live, it'll go live with this.
Just as he mentioned, there's a lot of work been put into this with Megan. So all right.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Public Works 2023 construction update. Is that Mr. Harry?
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I think Holly has a little PowerPoint for me. So 2023 is kind of the kickoff to a bunch of busy years ahead of us. So we put together kind of the running list of what we have ahead of us in 2023. And we'll probably start off with our street trust fund. Go ahead. One more, Holly. Street trust fund project, Victoria Street. That's kind of the big one for the year for us. We're going to start here in March. Actually, we'll be on March 10th as we've got to go to the north end of Victoria Avenue and install a shut-off valve in the water line. So the school's not in session that day, so we're going to shut down the water so we can isolate that water line, and then we're going to start working from there south basically on March 13th, and we'll start closing Victoria all the way through there. And that'll be really the kickoff to the complete rebuild. So with that, it's the water, the sewer, storm line. The storm line will tie into the storm basin that we installed last year. We expect this project to last about 5 months, and we're starting in the spring, so we expect to planning on and expect to be done by the start of school, in the fall. So as new students are coming into the school district, we're not upsetting that right now. We have an audience. We know who the students are, the faculty, and we can communicate better with them. So that was the intent of starting early. Go ahead, Holly. Overlays, we've got 3 streets right now. Possibly we'll throw Thomas in there. Since we're doing Victoria, there's going to be a lot of traffic on these side streets from construction. We thought this was a good opportunity to kind of fix the whole area. Go ahead, one more. And this will show kind of the area. So it's all related to the school and the lateral roads. So when all this is done, once we get done with Victoria Avenue itself, we'll come back, we'll open Victoria, and then we'll do the lateral roads with overlays. And we think that'll kind of tie everything in and kind of clean it up. So we're kind of excited to just kind of putting all our effort into kind of this area. So go ahead. Once we're done with Victoria and the overlays, we're going to shift over to 7th Street and Alamosa Avenue. That's basically just south of North River Greenhouse and the RV Park, and then the east side of Sunset Park. And with this design, you can see that's from the RV park looking to the west, and then the other way to the east. Not much of a road left. So this is the one we moved from the identified project list. We moved it up a couple years because it's just dilapidated so bad. And on the right-hand side, you'll see the street where it borders Sunset Park. We're making a change there. We're going to take and put a drainage pan there and fill in all the way to the fence with diagonal parking. We've always known there's been a lack of parking in that area, so this will help accommodate more of the visitors and participants when they have events there. So nice change for that park. It is a full rebuild. So weather permitting, we'll definitely get 7th Street with the intention of turning and going down Alamosa Avenue. But if we get an early winter or we get delayed on Victoria, we'll cut it off at 7th Street and then pick up on Alamosa Avenue in the spring of the next year. So, yep. Next project, this is a development service project. Last year, they were able to secure the READY grant to help pay for the rebuild of the 4th Street parking lot. With that, we're also extending the parking lot with the partnership. I don't remember who the partnership's with.
Alamosa State Bank and James Sue.
James Sue, yeah. So we're able to add quite a bit of parking spots. It'll be a complete rebuild. We'll be able to include lighting, some islands, possibly with some, landscaping. So it'll be really nice. I believe they're adding 100 and total. How many spots? 88. Okay. Yeah. So it's quite a few more spots. So it'll definitely be a lot nicer, and partnership sharing with that State Bank parking lot will be good. It'll all be one big area. And then we have a partnership with Friday Health Plan, City of Alamosa, same part of the READY grant. This project is under the design right now. Plan on having the design here completed hopefully in the next month, and we'll include this with the 4th Street parking lot, with both of them need to be done by the end of June. So. Concrete replacement programs high on our priority list this year. What we did through the summer of last year is Beata went through and walked all the streets, and she identified all our tripping hazards, put together quite the extensive list, and we're working on notifying all the property owners as their responsibility is to replace those damaged sidewalks. And we're doing the best we can to notify them, get them the information for the concrete replacement program. They'll be the priority, getting them into the program, and get as many as we can this year, get it replaced. So. New project for us is the management of the new sanitary lines or infrastructure at the Century Mobile Home Park. So right now we're working on the design and grant funding for that. Hopefully we'll get started in that sometime this fall. Our plant well, it's a very old well, and it's kind of lived its service life. So we've been working with an engineering company to help us design a future well to replace this one. What it currently is designed to is to pump the same rate that we're using but with the intent of being able to provide more volume of water for future needs if needed. So it's out to bid right now, and hopefully we'll get that drilled this year. And then there's all the pipe work, and then we have to house it. So we figure we'll probably get it commissioned, sometime next year. We also have the well out at the golf course to help supplement the irrigation needs. We're going to drill this one also the same size as the plant well in preparation for future municipal needs if needed. We got 3 lift stations coming up this year. We've got the center lift station, the West 7th lift station, and hopefully the 14th. The 14th right now is under design, and there's quite a lengthy process is getting approval through the state. So we think we'll probably get the center lift station and the 7th Street lift station built this year in preparation for 14th Street lift station next year. This is very expensive between the 3 of them. I believe it's about $1.3 million. Heather was very successful in getting DOLA grants to help offset that cost. I believe it's close to $700,000 in grant money. So very competitive actual presentation. So kudos to her. So then we have a storm lift station.
Not Andy.
Yeah. We have a storm lift station for the Montana Azul subdivision. So right now we have those basins. This storm lift station will take it to the Hickory Jackson ditch, and so we'll get the lift station put in this year, and then we're looking for funding to do the line extension out to the ditch. So this will help accommodate future development out in that area. And engineering wise, we've got to get prepared and get the design ready for 2nd Street, which is planned for 2025. So we'll get the design in place this year and have the utilities hopefully relocated next year in preparation for 2025. So a lot of work. I know I didn't get everything on this list. We have another one. Go ahead, Holly. I think that was the last one, but we have another one. It's the storm line extension off of 1st Street. I didn't get that on this project list, and I'm sure there's a few other small ones I'm not thinking of. So.
Okay, Harry. Questions? Carson?
On 7th, where that RV park's at, are you guys gonna do concrete for the weight? How's that gonna, like, you know what I mean? Cause as they come in, they're driving on that new street. Is it gonna be, I'm sure you guys have already figured that in, but is it gonna be regular pavement or is you guys going with concrete?
It'll be regular asphalt, but we'll supplement it with a heavier base. So the structural base underneath will be 8 inches versus 6. So that'll help accommodate the additional weight.
Okay, and on the sidewalk replacement program, I'll use myself as an example. If I do the work myself, do I get paid half that? How does that work? Do I have to hire a contractor?
Now you have to use the city contractor. We put it out to bid, and since part of it's paid by city funds, we have to do a bid process. And so if you want to go through the city where you pay half and the city pays half, we use our contractor. And that's the only way to utilize it.
Thank you.
Okay, any other, okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Amazing. I know there's so much work happening, and I really appreciate all of the connection and all of the updates and everything like that. So I just want to say thank you. This is a huge lift for you and your team. And so amazing work.
Thank you.
Any other? Good job, Harry. I had a couple of questions here. Even at our housing authority meeting, was brought up that you're gonna redo the overlay on V Hill Way where you dug the storm drain.
Yeah.
They were concerned about that, so it's good to see that you're doing that.
Yeah, where the basin is, the western half, we're actually going to remove the asphalt and fix some of the base because it pumps so bad. So we're going to rebuild a small section of that and then repave it and then overlay the rest of the street. So it'll be a lot better.
And then also on you're saying the well replacement, where does that money come from?
I think big portion is ARPA.
Yeah, that was, they were unanticipated. The water treatment plant was a well failure. And so that's been, but both of them, I think, are through ARPA. A majority of it's through the ARPA funds.
Good, good. And then one last one, it's good to see West Sixth Street. That's in the Washington Edition area. We're starting
Yeah.
to do some work up in that area. So that's
Yeah.
great that we're doing that. So.
So we have the design mostly done, but since we had to alter our plan sets or the plans we provide to our utility companies in identifying the underground utilities, we're just going back and touching up the plan set and getting those utilities identified in the plan. So that's a little bit smaller scope of work, but the majority of the plan sets are complete for the Washington edition.
Good deal.
And it's important, here, when you think workload, I think some of this doesn't really sink in is, so yeah, we're constructing this year, these major construction projects, but we've got to get these others queued up. So then the utility companies are working on them the year before we get to our construction projects. So there's just a lot of pieces that go up to piling that. And some partners are really good and some partners need more nudging type of thing. So it's an interesting process.
Okay. Any other questions for? Good job here. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to committee reports. Any committee reports out there? Oh. Go ahead.
Okay. So I wanted to thank you, Counselor Griego, for going to the Housing Authority for me since I could not attend. So I appreciate that a lot. And then last night we did have the Homeless Coalition meeting and it was Counselor Krebs' first meeting. So it was a really fun meeting. Truthfully, we got to talk about some cool things and some projects. And I think the community will start seeing, not soon, but soon-ish, some education materials and some information going on about homelessness, about housing, about lots of really cool things. And so I think that this committee got really excited about how to share some information and we're gonna work toward that. So it was a really positive meeting.
Good deal.
And I was really excited because some of the committee members have homework and not me.
Good deal. I have about 3 of them here since, like you said, Chris, I did attend the Housing Authority meeting. That's a pretty great group there. I'm glad that Rachel is there because there's a section there where they ask an update of what the city's doing and stuff. And she probably took about half hour to explaining what's going on in the city. But they talked about that. They looked at the salaries, looking at salaries and stuff. They talked about Section 8. And then I guess you guys have had a committee that's looking at the strategic plan, the mission plan and the vision plan. So there was talk about that. One thing that they kind of emphasized was Section 8 vouchers. It seems that they're having a tough time getting people to rent with Section 8 vouchers. And it seems like a lot of people talking bad stuff about Section 8, which they were going to get out there and maybe visit with some people and really explain what the voucher system is. And it's, you know, it's another one of those deals where they feel that it's like somewhat just for people on drugs and stuff like that, which is totally wrong and stuff. So in fact, they were even encouraging landlords to even increase their rents so they could use this vouchers. So it was really a good meeting. So the next one was the Recreation Advisory Board meeting. And feel free to jump in there, Heather and Mayor, if I leave some stuff out. They talked about the annual report that John just gave, and then some project and grant updates, the pedestrian bridge, the Blanca Vista dredging. They talked about a little bit the noxious weeds and stuff. They gave reports on the hours, and as John mentioned, that we've had an increase on the programs, the participation stuff. And am I missing anything, Heather?
I think you covered it.
Yeah.
There was a pretty extensive discussion and it was kind of tabled on if we should look at naming one of the ball fields, not the entire complex, but one of the ball fields for Eric Melgoza. I didn't realize, I realized he was working closely with staff as far as sharing facilities and all of that. What I didn't realize is I guess he actually helped build the, what was it? The batting cage out there. But we wanted to make sure it was meaningful, for some of the stuff that was near and dear to his heart. So it's going to be an ongoing discussion that group's having.
And also this was just kind of emailed to us. Somebody had talked about what's going on at a Cole Park and replacing trees and stuff. And we have gotten a grant, a $4,000 grant towards replacing 24 trees out there. And that's an ongoing deal. Those trees are old and some of them are in bad shape, so they're replacing those. So, and then finally, I don't know if this is a committee report or the CML legislative deal. Do you want to talk about that now, or do we want to council comment? Or
Either one is fine.
we'll leave it for council comment, I guess. But that's all I had. And okay, we'll move on to staff announcements.
Okay, I wanted to remind council, you do have a work session next week. So I know it's an off Wednesday, which is why I wanted to remind you. The chief and I will be speaking at a workshop next week, the deflection and pre-arrest diversion. So we'll be talking about our experiences with lead, co-responder, diversion, those types of things. I wanted to remind you that Holly has sent out a doodle poll to try to get a date for the board appreciation dinner. So if you haven't completed that yet, please do that. And the last item is a photo op of where we will present to you the plaque for the Rio Frio. And I'm kind of okay that the mayor's not here for this. So
Can we change it till next time?
we have what I'm going to call the traveling plaque.
Oh.
So each year, whichever team wins can have this. We can put this at your mailbox area since you won for this year, and it'll be somewhere next year, somewhere else. But then we also have the keeping track plaque, which we will hang to where you can proudly see for the inaugural competition for 2023, City Council did win. And so we can do maybe some department heads and get a picture of you guys getting your traveling trophy and the plaque.
It won't have to travel far.
Any comments, Mayor?
Counselor Daniels just wrapped it up in what she just said. It won't travel far.
So did you want us
Good
to-
job.
Okay, so can we do a picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Heather, anything else under staff announcements?
No, that will be enough.
Okay, we'll move on then to local liquor license authority actions. Liquor license item, needs and desire, hearing for a new application for a fermented malt beverage license, Family Dollar. I'll turn that over to you, Counselor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And just as a reminder for how council conducts these hearings, we will open the public hearing with a presentation by the applicant, and council can then ask questions of the applicant after that presentation. And then I will ask for anybody who wishes to speak in support of the application in terms of a public comment. First from people present in the council chambers, and then from people present by Zoom. And then I'll ask, once that's complete, for people who wish to speak against the application, again, council chambers and then Zoom. And then return it to council. And if council wishes to, still as part of the public hearing, call the applicant back and ask any further questions about any issues raised during those comments, that would be a time to do that. Then we'll close the public hearing and return it to council for discussion. So with that, I'll open the public hearing and ask the applicant to come forward and make that presentation. And while the applicant is coming forward, I'll just have the clerk confirm that the property was posted and legal notice was published the required number of days in advance of this hearing.
Yes, that is correct. It was. So they originally were gonna have a public hearing on February 1st, and they did ask to move it to March 1st. So we posted, so they reposted the poster at their establishment, and then the legal notice was reposted again on February 18th.
Sorry. So
Right.
someone shared with me that maybe people are struggling getting into the meeting. I don't know if this helps anyone because they're not on Zoom if they're struggling, but if they just go to the agenda and copy and paste that link in, that is the best way to get in case anyone was trying to do this to participate for this part of it. Sorry.
No, thank you.
You're good. And I have, so James Bally is going to be on for this hearing, and then there was supposed to be the district manager, Nicholas Sandoval, here. And I'm not sure if he's here in person. I don't believe I see him here. But
All right.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can we get him up on the screen?
Yeah, let me pin the. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Bali, you're good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. First things first, I wanted to say I'm happy to be in Alamosa tonight. My niece, Emma Hosack, did a year with AmeriCorps out of college and did her service there in Alamosa, if I'm saying it right, La Puente, am I saying it correctly?
Yeah.
So I told her I was doing some work in Alamosa today. I'm with Decisions Consulting, and we do national alcohol licensing for Family Dollar. And we're here today on the store location at 1301 11th Street there in Alamosa. And I wanted to give you a little bit of background, and I won't go through everything because I previously provided, and I think Ms. Martinez put the document in your packet, but I did want to go through some of the information that we provided in support of this application. So for those of you who may or may not be familiar with Family Dollar, it's a family-oriented store, basically like a small grocery store that sells a range of items. And we do not sell discounted alcohol. It's the same brands that you would see in your local grocery store. And we also wanted to provide you with some information on how serious that we take compliance issues at Family Dollar. And so I wanted to run through some of the training that we do for all associates. In addition, and this is in addition to any requirements that are imposed by a state or local jurisdiction, we provide them with training on minimum age requirements for purchasing alcohol including the use of handheld scanners. We provide them with training on how to recognize and tell the difference between authentic and fake driver's licenses. We provide them with training on how to confirm that the person presenting the ID is actually that person. They have training on the right to refuse to sell to anybody who looks to be intoxicated. We don't have that problem at Family Dollar. Those aren't the kind of customers that come in to visit our store. We also, once we provide the training, and we do this before, obviously before beginning to sell, we have a zero tolerance policy in place. And if you violate the law or you violate our policies with regard to alcohol, you're terminated. And in addition to that training, we also provide specific training that is jurisdiction specific. So we would go through some of the provisions that apply there in the city of Alamosa. And we do that again before participating in any kind of sale, even if they've already complied with whatever the required training. So in basically in conclusion, we simply want to provide a family-oriented option to our existing customers who already shop in the store. We also have vigorous security inside with surveillance cameras for the entire store, and one specifically directed to where the beer and of alcohol would be placed in the store. Utilizing all of these programs, training, and other systems that we've implemented at Family Dollar, we're proud to say that our violation rate is 0.004%. We're always trying to get that low, but we're lower than that, but we're happy that it is there. If you look at your in the letter that was provided is in your packet, there's also at the end a advertisement showing the types of products that are sold at Family Dollar. So I'm here to answer any questions. I'm happy to go through any of this again, but we would respectfully request that you approve the license application. And last, I've looked at the information provided in the initial investigation by the city, and all of that is correct, and we agree with all of it, and appreciate staff's help on the process and appreciate the opportunity to address you today. Thank you.
And before we move to see whether council has any questions, let me just confirm, usually we would introduce a copy of we would introduce the actual notice that was posted at the business as an exhibit during the hearing. Do we have that?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And obviously on Zoom, I did not have it, but Holly was nice enough to email. And so I had the picture with me, and so I was able to provide that to her, but I would ask that that be tendered in along with the application and the initial investigation findings.
Okay, so Holly, if you have that, we'll mark the picture of it as Exhibit A. And admit that into the hearing.
Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Bali, council? Councilor Vigil.
Thank you, Mr. Shriso. Mr. Bali, Jan Vigil City Council, did you and the location need to get like signatures or anything like that from the people in the immediate neighborhood, or asking for support for this license?
Thank you. No, what we did, we posted, and the notice provided the opportunity for anybody who was interested in it to either submit in writing to the city or attend tonight. But all of I've spoken with the manager, and all of the customers that noticed the sign when they come in, because it's right on the front, were all supportive. they want the option to do basically what they do, when you stop at a grocery store.
But you don't have any like, data or hard signatures? Are these people from Alamosa? Are they driving through? You have no kind of data or facts on that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any data on the specific location of the residents, but most of our customers that come in the store, as soon as they saw the sign, they were happy to see it. They didn't know that that was an option and that it was coming. So I think they were happy to have it. They're happy to have it in the neighborhood. No one spoke negatively towards it, and they all appeared to welcome it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask about that, the signature page. I mean, technically it's not required, but I mean, we typically ask for that to get a little bit of neighborhood support. And secondly, where's your local representative? Typically, we have somebody in-house to present or speak. Were they not able to make it to the meeting?
Yes, sir. I apologize for his absence. I got an email yesterday that indicated that he was going to attend, but I'm apologize for not being there today.
Thank you.
He will be hearing from me after this.
Councilor Krebs, you have your light on.
I do. Thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. I'm Dawn Krebs. My question is this, do all Family Dollars have this? Is this something that's currently being integrated? I grew up with Family Dollars and I don't remember ever seeing this before. So is this a rollout that's new for the state of Colorado or for the Family Dollar Corporation itself?
That's a very good question. Thank you for it. Dollar Tree purchased Family Dollar some period of years ago, less than 10. And when, as part of that, we began to do a revamp of the Family Dollar brand. And as part of that process, with the market moving in certain directions, we determined it would be appropriate to seek the privilege and opportunity of selling alcohol at certain stores. So it's a nationwide effort. We do have other locations in Colorado that are already licensed, but it is a nationwide effort if it's in an appropriate area and meets the distance requirements and what have you, which this store does, as noted by your staff.
Mayor Pro Tem Grego, your light's on.
Yes, I had a question. You just mentioned that Dollar Tree just purchased this 10 years ago.
Yeah, it would. Dollar Tree purchased the Family Dollar in its entirety less than 10 years ago. Still the same brand, but we came in and did some things differently. And one of the main things is the vigorous alcohol training and enforcement program that we wanted to implement.
What bothers me is I do frequent that store because I live right in that area. And in the past, your management, the store, at one time it seemed like there was no management there. The cleanliness of the store, the disarray of the store. Here, I think it's been about a year or two. Somebody came in there and they rearranged everything, cleaned it up, and they have some people in there now, I guess trying to run it. So that's one of my biggest concerns is the management, and it goes to prove tonight, your manager's not even here tonight. So when you're gonna put alcohol into an area and you don't have the right management in it, kind of scares me. And having kids in the area and stuff like that, that bothers me a lot.
Yeah, yes, sir. And I again, I apologize for him not being here. It was the district manager that was supposed to be there, the store manager. was not told to, it was the district manager, but there's no excuse for it. He's not here. So I can tell you that we're going to address that right after this hearing, even though he's in Virginia, or the main company's in Virginia. I may have to let them know in the morning, but all I can tell, what I can say is that when we do have the option of offering alcohol, that the vigorous training and enforcement will be there. We do it that way. That's why our violation rate is so small, 0.004%. But I acknowledge the concern, and
Okay.
if we're provided with the opportunity to go through this situation, then we will be grateful for it and ensure that all the laws are kept, maintained.
Councilor Daniel, your light is on.
Thank you, Councilor Suzhou. Thank you, Mr. Belli, for your information. I appreciate one of the concerns we always have in our community is about the training. And so you keep talking about the vigorous training. Is it an evidence-based training? Is it one that is done in-house? Can you tell me a little bit more about the evidence base for the training you use, and how do you ensure that all of your employees are using the scanners and have access to those, and how, just a little bit more about that function? Because I think for me, that compliance piece is really important.
Right. And so what we do is we identify what is required by the local or state. That is done, but then we do what you're describing. It is an internal program. We come in, we make sure the handheld scanners are there. We find those work better because the fake IDs are getting better. And with the scanners, those can detect that. They all have to attend a course, and we make sure that they all have this training before going to work, or before this, even if the license is approved, before we can sell, even if everything is there. And, you know, I guess the proof is in the pudding a little bit with that, because if we did not, our violation rate would be a lot higher. And 1/100%, if I'm doing math right, I think it's pretty good numbers, but we always want to get it down to 0.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Carson, your light is on.
Mr. Bali, in these situations, we're tasked with working what we got in front of us tonight. I appreciate you being here by Zoom. However, I don't know where in Alamosa you're at. And I gotta say that the evidence that we're being presented with tonight, including the lack of neighborhood support, just doesn't make me feel warm and toasty. So I'm just a little bit curious as to where the findings are for the need for another liquor store in Alamosa, period, and in a neighborhood that I don't agree with policy, or I don't agree with the findings necessarily, and we've already had a talk about this, but there is a school near there. It's right across the street. I'm personally involved with a couple kids that do go to that school. So I just got to be frank with you. The lack of evidence tonight is not, it's not leaning in your favor. You need to see a little more. At least I do, for sure. So thank you. Thank you for being here to present. But again, the lack of a district manager, store manager, anybody to be here is, it's a rough blow for you guys.
I agree with you.
Mayor Pro Tem, your light's on.
No, I do.
Okay, well, so now we'll look to comments from the audience. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of the application, please come forward to the podium. And I don't see anybody coming forward. Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to speak in favor of the application? If so, please use the raise your hand function to raise your hand. And I don't see anybody on Zoom raising their hands, so we'll move to members of the audience present here wishing to speak against the application. I see Aaron Miltenberger making his way to the podium. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilor Shuizo. Thank you, Council. As you know, Aaron Miltenberger, I with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the San Luis Valley. Been in that position for 5 years now. Our facility is 480, our front door is 485 feet away from the Family Dollar. Gold Academy is less than 200 feet. Alamosa School District is less than a quarter of a mile, with their K2 building less than half a mile away from the Family Dollar. On average, we have 20 members a day who leave our building. Our building is not a lock-in facility. So when a member comes to the Boys and Girls Club, they're allowed to leave the Boys and Girls Club with parent permission. We have about 20 members a day who walk across the street, use the crosswalk to cross 285 and go over to the Family Dollar. They buy drinks there, they buy chips there, and then they make their way back over to the Boys and Girls Club. What we know about young people is that they have superpowers. They're hardwired for certain things, right? A lot of those superpowers are around risk-taking activities. It's my concern, and we love Family Dollar. Family Dollar is a great national partner. We love being able to send our young people over there. It's felt safe for a number of years to have young people go over there and buy their snacks and buy their drinks and then come back and spend some time with us at the club. I think that changes dramatically if this passes. When you have hardwired risk-taking activities and you introduce alcohol as something that's in the community, 485 feet away from the front door of the Boys and Girls Club, where we see 130 young people a day and over 600 young people over the course of a year, that access and opportunity skyrockets. And the number one risk factor for substance misuse and abuse in young people is access and opportunity. It's why we introduced the take-back program for pharmaceuticals so that families could flush their pills so that we reduce access and opportunity. It's why we're doing the same sort of thing with a variety of different substances. My problem isn't with the intention of trying to sell a product. I have no problem with, trying to make money off of something. I think I have a concern about access and opportunity with our most vulnerable young people. And that's exactly who is coming to the Boys and Girls Club every day. That's exactly the students that are going to the Gold Academy. And I don't think that with 3 liquor stores within a mile of this facility, grocery stores selling beer and wine, we have any need to approve this license. I think in speaking with people who do this for a living, people who own liquor stores in our community, whose families have owned liquor stores in our community, they said to me unequivocally that this was not something that they would support, not because of the competition, because they would be concerned about the level of standard for providing those, the malt beverages in our community, that they said that they are invested 100% into making sure that that doesn't happen on their watch. And we know that it still does. We still have lots of violations that are happening with those liquor stores, and those are families whose livelihood is tied entirely to being able to sell beer, wine, and liquor. My concern is if your main business is selling Snickers bars, selling laundry detergent, and selling clothes, and you're also selling malt liquor, what standard are you really holding? In what way are you invested in our community? In what way do you really make sure every day that you're doing everything in your power to prevent access and opportunity for our most vulnerable population? I also want to share to you as a parent of a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old who attend almost every day at that Boys and Girls Club. My 14-year-old walks kids often over to get chips, over to get drinks. I would not let him do that if this passes. And I think it would actually be a loss in some of the revenue for that Family Dollar. And it would be a loss for our community to have access to those opportunities. I urge council to exercise your judgment in not approving this license. On behalf of the Boys and Girls Club, who are all in support of that same request. I have our previous chair, Rob Orringdorf, here in support as well.
Thank you, Mr. Miltenberger. Anybody else? I don't see anybody else from the live people in the chambers. Anybody on Zoom wishing to speak against this application, please use the raise your hand feature to raise your hand. And I do see a hand raised for Jamie Dominguez. We'll move you in.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamie Dominguez. I own a business right up the street from Family Dollar. I frequent it a lot for my business, and I live in the area. And I also have a nonprofit that is based block down from the Boys and Girls Club. And I'm just curious about the Family Dollar and the management. I have witnessed and seen a lot of things that make me uncomfortable with alcohol being able to be picked up from an establishment and taken into the community in an unopened fashion. I do not frown upon alcohol being served in establishments that are brick and mortar, like restaurants, hotels, some of these things where these products are consumed and these people can leave the building. But as far as our community having another accessible place for alcohol, I myself had struggled with alcoholism while I was younger, and I think for more places to be accessible for alcohol, not only for the youth, like Aaron just elaborated on, but for our community in general. We struggle with a lot of substances, and I think we do have plenty of liquor stores. I think liquor stores should be in certain parts of neighborhoods, and I don't think this is one of them. With schools and an apartment complex in the back, where I believe the population shouldn't have access to alcohol this easy. From a Family Dollar establishment or a store establishment. Like I said, if it was restaurant, hotel, a bar where some of this stuff is consumed and people can leave, but it being taken in a closed container worries me, because I do see a lot of kids in this area and a lot of people who do have substance abuse problems, including alcohol, and it's just more readily accessible for them. So I am not in favor of it, and my biggest decision was because of management and these stores across Colorado. I've stopped at a bunch of them in Colorado, and they all seem to have the same trend. I don't think they are very well taken care of. And I really feel that if you wanted to have a liquor license in Alamosa, I don't think it would have hurt you to be inside city chambers. That's just my opinion, or to have your management involved in this and get signatures from local businesses and residential people who live in that area. I mean, when I go and I want to do an event, I have to collect signatures from everybody around to make sure everybody's aware of this. And I just think this was trying to get a license just to generate revenue, which I understand, but I think your community really needs to be looked at too. And I really encourage your stores in the future, if you do maneuver on this stuff, to engage in the community, because some communities look different and some of them struggle from alcoholism, and that's how they would see this project, not just trying to shut you down for creating revenue, but some of us are hurting and healing from certain substances, and to be able to get them accessible like that on all areas of town, like Aaron said, there's like 3 or 4 of them within a mile range. I just don't think it's a need. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dominguez. Anybody else from Zoom wish to raise their hand? I don't see any other hands raised, so I think that's all the audience comments. I don't know, Mr. Bali, you may want to pick up in response to any of those, and I'll offer you the opportunity to do that now.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments from both citizens, and again, I apologize for the lack of the district manager being there. It's not a very good way to start out, and I completely acknowledge some of those concerns, but that just doesn't happen at the Family Dollar. We don't serve kids. We don't serve intoxicated people. And I just believe that it's a situation in which oftentimes there are bad actors out there, but we're not one of them. And I understand that sometimes there is you have to make a decision based on the facts you have before you, but we appreciate the opportunity, and we'll continue to be a business partner in Alamosa regardless. Thank you.
Counselor Hensley, looks like you have a comment or question.
I didn't know if this is the appropriate time to add a comment or not, so.
Well,
whatever.
so once we're done with the public, if you have questions for Mr. Bolly or anything, this would be appropriate, but if not, we'll close the public hearing and then return it to council. So council, any questions, any further questions for Mr. Bolly? All right, so with that, we'll close the public hearing and Mayor Pro Tem, I'll return it to you for council discussion.
Okay, comments? Go ahead, Counselor.
So, I appreciate, obviously, somebody who's very supportive of business, things like that. And that idea of trying to do what you can to earn money. But one of the concerns I have, so I would say I also have the same concern with the amount of schools that are by the store. The other thing is, we also are getting to a point where we know next year, schools won't be going in, the school won't be in, taking place on Fridays, which is something brand new to Alamosa. And I already know that's going to really raise the amount of kids that are at the Boys and Girls Club. It'll be at capacity, if not past capacity. And all the things that we're gonna be challenged with a lot of kids being out and about on Fridays, let alone all the other times. So that concerns me as well. I also, you know, as much as you can control what happens in the store, it doesn't mean you can control sort of what's happening outside the store. And I do agree with what Aaron said in regards to, you've got young kids, they're experimenting, they're seeing things. And so it does concern me, even the idea of the people that might be hanging out or around who then could pass something on to the kids, that type of thing. And just seeing some of that. And so for me, my biggest concern out of all of this, and I also, again, I now third time bringing up my grandkids, but they go to Boys and Girls Club. And that idea there that we want it to be safe, we want to keep it, that area safe, and there's just so many kids there. So for me, that is one of my major concerns if I had to pick anything out of this.
Counselor Vihia.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have just a lot of concerns about this. I'm not on board. I don't like that we didn't have signatures. I understand that maybe your management team and the people who work for you are talking to the people coming into the store and they're all for it, but I would like to see that through some signatures. I too, I've been on council now for 10 years. I think I have voted yes or have said yes to these things, I think 9 times out of 10. So I'm very pro-business and making money in that, but I don't see how you fit the need of the desire in this part of the town, in this neighborhood. And I kind of think of it a little bit differently. I see this Family Dollar on a main highway, and I'm concerned about folks buying alcohol and then driving, going south and then starting and popping it open and getting a DUI or causing a wreck or something like that. I just don't think it's a safe place for people to buy alcohol and then carry on their way. And then finally, the access it would raise for students and for young people. I just don't like it. I don't like it where it's at. And right now I'm a no. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Councilor Griego. I feel like we are in a place in our community where identifying the risks that our kids are taking, the things that they have been exposed to and continue to be exposed to, and truthfully, our families who are utilizing the Family Dollar and the people that utilize this service in this store, that I think is an important part in our community, right? It's an important service that Family Dollar provides. And I do not believe we heard tonight that there is a strong desire for this place to serve alcohol. I don't feel like that was shared from our community members. And so I'm struggling with that, because we have been very pro-business as a council, and this is, and very like supportive of how things need to roll. And so I think the concerns about our youth, truthfully, Councilor Hensley brought up a point that I had wrote down. it sounds very much, Mr. Valley, that you all are doing things in your stores that are appropriate to make sure people do not have access within your store. My concern is what happens outside of that store with all of the access that is then around and the people who would frequent and, and the people who may not have the concerns that we do about our young folks. And because this is quote unquote a rite of passage that should never have been a rite of passage for people, right? And so because it does lead to challenges and our community has enough challenges with substance use as it is, let alone exposing our young people to it earlier and more often. And I think it's that early and often piece. We know in prevention work, the more we can share with kids those resiliency factors and showing them that it isn't everywhere, not everyone using those social norms factors. And the more we have access to it in places like Family Dollars, in places like other stores and other places, then that hinders prevention work, that hinders building that resiliency. And so I'm struggling with, we did not hear that this is truly a need and a desire in our community today. And we did hear that it is very much a concern in our community today. And yes, so that's where I'm at with this.
Thank you, Councillor Krepp.
Thank you. So you asked us in your presentation, Mr. Valley, to work with what's been stated and what's been put in front of us. And 2 points to that. I will echo the concern that there was no representation physically here at the presentation. I understand the district manager oversees a number of stores. Alamosa is probably one of several stores that the district manager oversees. However, we need to be shown that this was a well thought out decision that kept our community in mind, that kept Alamosa. This was the one moment in time where we needed to see this person show that he recognized this community. My second point is you stated it's a family-friendly establishment. I agree 100% with that. I have shopped there. I go in there all the time. My difficulty with that statement is that I have a hard time aligning that vision and what I believe that store to be right now, with introducing a product that's geared only for adults. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Parson, do you have some comments? You got your.
I have a ton of comments. I feel a little bad for Mr. Bally here being put on the spot here and being left hung out to dry. I really do, Mr. Bally. I'm not gonna beat you up anymore. Eric, is it appropriate for me to make a motion that we deny this license at this moment? Because that is a motion that I want to put on the table.
Well, it's kind of a question for the mayor pro
Yeah.
tem.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we're at that point, yeah.
Let me ask if there's any other comments and then you may make your motion. Any other?
Until the lights are off.
I had one comment, and I mentioned it earlier. I do frequent that store and until recently, the management has been really, really, really bad. And here lately, they cleaned it up. It looks nice. They stocked it right. I think they even hired some people and I complimented them for that. But prior to that, that store has, there probably isn't in management because I walked in there and I even yelled out, is anybody here to, you know, to take control of it? But it's been and then to add alcohol to that kind of situation, it just scares me. So any other comments? Okay, Councillor Carson.
Yeah, I do agree. It's cleaned up a lot, but this isn't something that I think we need at this time. I'm gonna make a motion that we deny this application and instruct counselor to move forward with that. Thank you.
We got a motion. Do
I'll
we have a
second.
second? Got a second? Any further comments? Okay, let's go ahead and start voting.
I have 2 votes for yes on the motion and 2 votes for no. So
Okay, so are we voting yes that it's being
we're
denied?
voting yes to denial.
Oh, okay, then,
Oh,
My
okay,
bad.
then I did too.
yes, let's do it.
Okay, and Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
Okay,
All right, council. So consistent with your practice, that'll be a final action at your next meeting. I will prepare draft written findings for you to consider at your next meeting.
all right. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll move on to council comment. Any council comments? Carson?
I just wanted to say thank you to Rachel for representing us so well last week at CML. I know I said it earlier in the session, but you know, she was on point with everything, every question that was asked of her, every comment she made. And it just makes me feel good to have people like that representing us up there. You know, I've said it before. I think our town, city is ahead of the curve in a lot of the things we're dealing with, a lot of the things that come across, you know. And so I just want to echo that and thank city staff. You know, everything that I see when I go to some of these workshops and stuff, we're just ahead of the curve. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, I think Councilor Daniels, and then we'll go all the way down.
Thank you. So the first thing is I do need to be on Zoom at our next council meeting, so I will be out of town. And then I did want to formally and publicly announce that I will not be running for my city council seat come this fall. I have served for 8 years and have loved most minutes, I guess, of it, probably not every minute, most minutes of it. And so just as we go through, there will be lots of other times to say all the cool things that I've really appreciated, but I did want to make a public announcement stating that I am not planning to run this fall.
And for the public who are watching, that is the at-large position, correct?
Yes, thank you, Heather. I apologize for that. Yes, it's one of the at-large positions.
Okay, Councilor Cripp.
Thank you. I just wanted to give a quick shout out that we see a lot of good things happening in Alamosa, and with CML and another event, I got to see a lot of good things happening about Alamosa outside. It was a great CML event, and we also traveled to the Denver Travel Show and was very pleasantly surprised to see Visit Alamosa there, and they were catching a fair amount of people. So, you know, it was a lot of fun to see that and to be a part of it. So thank you for allowing me to be to CML, and you know, keep up the good work with Visit Alamosa. Absolutely.
Councilor Hensley.
Two different sort of things going from one spectrum to the other. So the first one, I want to definitely send prayers and thoughts to the Owsley family. We did lose Haley Owsley this last week fairly suddenly. Jeff and Haley are a huge support to our community. One thing I would say about Haley is obviously Jeff is more of the face, but Haley was there. The amount of love and true support and true caring that she had in her just shined all the time. And so it's a loss for our community. And so just really send my regards for that. So now I'm going to go to the other extreme. And just want to put a shout out for Adams State for our winter sports. We've done very well. We're sending 5 wrestlers to nationals. We've got track and field and going to nationals as well. And then something that hasn't happened for a long time for us is our women's basketball team. They won, like, oh my gosh, unbelievable yesterday. So they're going to play Friday, Regis, which is ranked #1. But honestly, I think we have a really good shot. So it's pretty exciting stuff. So just wanted to give a shout out there.
Councilor Vigo.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Speaking of basketball, this Friday and Saturday, 17 teams from the Valley are playing in regional tournaments or at the state tournament. Alamosa's there, Centennial, Sierra Grande, Sangre, Monte Vista, Del Norte, Sargent Center, Centauri, and Sanford. There's just ball games everywhere. So good luck to all the high school athletes. A little bit of history going off of Miss Hensley's shout out to the Adams State women's team is that they're playing the furthest that they have since 2011. So it's a really big accomplishment what they're doing. And they have a really good chance at making the national tournament. And then I wanted to really quick speak on the youth programs at the rec center. You brought up the gymnastics. I guess it was like a huge deal. Like everybody was just getting ready to get their kids signed up for gymnastics. And my wife was one of them with our daughter. And it was like on Facebook, you got to sign up. Yeah. So the programs are growing and the quality of the program is growing. And I just a shout out to you, Andy, and the rec department for doing that. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mayor, did you have any comments or council comments? Sure.
Yes, I would like to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Griego, for stepping in tonight and running the work session as well as the council meeting. You did a great job. I really appreciate that. And my thoughts and prayers go out to the Owsley family. This is the first I've heard of it since I've gotten back into the state. So thank you.
Okay. Carson, did you have something?
Just to jump on what Councilor Vihil said and Councilor Hensley about the gymnastics. Yeah, I don't know if you guys need to hire some extra staff for that or add some days, but yeah, it's pretty popular and fills up quick. So been thinking about this all night actually, and I was waiting for Christina to talk about her announcement. I think I will throw my hat in that at-large election this year. So just making that public announcement. I love this city, not going anywhere, and just give a little bit more range to the job, I think. So I will be putting my hat in that race. So it's official, I guess. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make some comments to wrap up this section. We did have some pretty good participation at the CML Legislative Workshop. We had a great presentation from the National Leagues of City Digs. And then they talked about the American Rescue Plan Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act, and then the 2023 General Assembly, the list of different bills and stuff they went through. So it was pretty good. Isn't like Councilor Krebs says that we had a pretty good turnout from Alamosa and stuff. So. And another thing, we got an email from Adams State, from Nick and Bruce. I hope I'm saying this right. SAEN Signs, where he's asking for a letter of support for we're increasing funding from the JBC. Is that something we?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, that didn't really follow our normal protocol. They did email me. We are preparing a letter for the mayor on behalf of the city per our policy to submit for that. So we do have it handled. Mayor, while I have you on the call, because I know you weren't doing emails while you were out. There is, if you have a few minutes tomorrow to stop in, we do have a few letters of support for you to sign for some of our partners to get some things turned in if you have a few minutes.
Okay, I'll make sure. I'll be back in Alamosa by tomorrow morning, so I'll make sure to do that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Council? There's a need for an executive session.
Mayor Pro Tem, I move that we go into executive session pursuant to CRS 246402 4A, 4B, and 4E to consider acquisition of property needed for the pedestrian bridge.
Second.
Got a second? Any further questions? Go ahead and vote.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
the motion carried unanimously.
Okay.
Miss Holly, if you don't mind, can you resend me the link for the executive session? I had some troubles connecting a little bit earlier, so maybe a new link might help me out a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, I will. And then
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, will you just make record that no further business will be discussed?
Okay, I will do that. So we're moving into this other section. Okay, no further business will occur after this executive session. Thank you, City Clerk, for keeping me out of trouble.
Thank you.